Throughout the existence of the internet, there have been many strange rumors. Some have absolutely no weight at all and are complete nonsense, but others do actually have something to them. Me personally, I get targeted with a lot of very deranged ones. But I try not to believe all of them, but some of them are really fun. So here's a chart of some of the most obscure internet rumors that I thought were worth talking about. On the top you have stuff like Egypt being in the Grand Canyon. And then as you get further down, you get into stuff I really like life on Europa. But real quick, I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching more of my long content. I've really been enjoying making these longer videos, and if you guys enjoy it, then I will continue to make them. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. Starting off at the top with the Opium Bird. So if you've never heard of it, the Opium Bird was this huge viral internet thing that happened back in 2023 where there was a whole bunch of AI pictures of this big white kind of uncanny scary looking bird thing that was usually like kind of moving around and there was a person next to it. Usually it was depicted being on a mountain, probably in like Antarctica or somewhere like that. The first original post came from a page called DrevFX, where this guy posted it kind of in SCP fashion, as he put a caption that stated that these were bird-like beings discovered in an Antarctic mountain range, and that they were undiscovered until recently, and now they are in the public eye. These videos started to be called the meme of 2027, and people would say that like these memes will be unlocked in 2027, or maybe these will happen in 2027. But then people also started saying "Lacomfit" on like every single one of these videos, which just refers to people thinking that the bird looks like an outfit that took low effort to achieve good style. I'm not the most stylish guy, so I don't get a lot of slang in that realm of things. So that in turn started this huge trend where people would actually dress up like the Opium Bird, and then everybody would say "Lacomfit" in the comments, and people would be wearing these big white coats and pretend they were this horrifying looking bird thing. Anyways, this whole kind of bird trend thing turned into creating more lore about how people were finding these birds in Antarctica and that there was fossil evidence, and people were rumoring that these things looked so extravagant because they wanted to hypnotize people. And that's basically the lore behind the birds, is people were saying they were so majestic and beautiful that they would lure prey in, which were like humans and other animals, and then they would secrete this chemical that hypnotized people into dancing uncontrollably. As you could sometimes see in the videos, people would just kind of like move like the birds did in a weird AI looking motion, and then people would dance basically until they were too tired to move, where this bird would then devour them. But as every normal person should be able to tell, these are AI. I did really enjoy though that someone was able to make this one picture video of a made-up creature and it turned into a huge internet trend. I thought this was one of the more creative rumors that have came in the past few years. Also, the original creator DrevFX later on posted another picture that seemed to have some sort of coded message in it that had coordinates on the screen, which when you typed in the coordinates, it would take you to this place in rural Antarctica in a mountain range. And then there was like a coded message along with that, and a lot of people tried to crack the code, but as far as I can tell, I couldn't crack it, and other people were just saying that the code was probably just made up with AI and it didn't even lead to anything, so they trolled us all. Egypt in the Grand Canyon. This is a smaller rumor that I feel like not a whole lot of people have heard of. People like me would get targeted with this rumor because it's, you know, it combines a lot of things. It sounds really deranged while also having some sort of weight to it. This whole thing actually began in 1909 when a newspaper, the Arizona Gazette, posted an article about how there was this explorer that found Egyptian artifacts in the Grand Canyon. So the article went on about how there was this explorer and archaeologist named G.E. Kincaid who is supposedly working with the Smithsonian. He was on an expedition down in the Grand Canyon when he discovered these massive underground cave system that was filled with Egyptian artifacts, hieroglyphs, and mummies. This would basically be evidence of an ancient civilization that was likely around the time of King Ramses, which was around 1250 BC, and if this story were true, this would completely rewrite history. This would imply that like Egyptians had traveled all the way to North America a long time before any known history or people have came over here, and it would mean that Egypt was a more advanced civilization than we thought. But I guess, you know, they were pretty advanced regardless back then. But this would mean the joining of two different parts of the world about 1,000 years before it actually happened. What's sad about this article is there was no hard evidence, there was no pictures. The Smithsonian went on record saying that Kincaid was never working with them, but part of the reason why people say like the Smithsonian covers up things like this in giants is because of this specific incident. But there's no official sources saying that this actually happened. A lot of people think that this article was just kind of a fabricated hoax story that newspapers used to do back in the day to boost sales during slow news periods, and most historians dismiss the entire story as a hoax, so that's pretty sad. However, I will say about the Grand Canyon, I recently went there just about a year and a half ago, and me and my wife hiked across the rim to rim, so through the Grand Canyon, and the Grand Canyon is so massive, and so much of it has not been able to be explored just because it's so hard to access. On average, the bottom of the canyon is like 5,000 feet deep. And if you were on the Colorado River, which is the river that runs through the Grand Canyon, and you just got out at some random point, there is almost no way you could climb out of there. I mean, basically, a lot of it is just a huge 5,000 foot wall. Like, the only reason you can do the rim to rim in the Grand Canyon is because that is the perfect place where you can get in and get out of the Grand Canyon. It is just extremely hard to traverse the Grand Canyon is what I'm saying. But despite the lack of solid evidence on this, article and evidence of Egyptians being in the Grand Canyon back around 1000 BC, rumors still do persist of there being Egyptians and Egyptian artifacts in the Grand Canyon. There is some weird stuff about the Grand Canyon though, like how early explorers named different parts and formations in the Grand Canyon after like Egyptian things, like the Isis Temple, which is this rock formation that looks kind of like a monolithic structure. And there's also the Osiris Temple, which is very similar. And these rock formations are very strange looking. I think I saw the Osiris Temple when I was there. But anyways, yes, the Grand Canyon, very cool hole in the ground. I do wonder, like, if the Egyptians had somehow made it to the United States and somehow made it down into the Grand Canyon. I don't know why they would go there, but if they had done that, is it possible that we could today not know that they had gone there? I don't really know. I mean, they would have to keep basically everything they had cut off from the rest of the world in a specific spot, maybe a cave in the Grand Canyon. That'd probably be best case scenario to hiding it from the rest of the world, but probably not. I mean, personally, if I was thinking about it and I was an Egyptian and I traveled to the United States, I'd be like, wow, there's a lot of great farmland. I probably don't need to live in the Grand Canyon or hide all my stuff in the Grand Canyon. But you never know what it was like back then. I mean, we don't really have any historical records on what the U.S. was like, or America was like 1,000 years ago. There could have been a lot of warring nations back then in America, and that maybe caused them to hide in the Grand Canyon. I wish it was true. All right, next up we got the Megalodon is still alive. So the Megalodon, if you don't know what it is, it's an extinct species of giant shark that could have been like 60 feet in length, which is huge. Scientists estimate it could have been about 3 times larger than the largest recorded great white shark ever. If you want a good example of how big a Megalodon would have been, this is an example right here. I 3D printed this, but it's actually to scale of a larger Megalodon tooth. It's this big, it's huge. I think they said some of them could have been 13 inches. I think this one's like maybe 10 inches. It's huge tooth. It looks pretty real, doesn't it? This is plastic. Nuts, right? Imagine having this sucker in your mouth. Anyways, some people believe that the Megalodon is maybe still alive and could be in like the Mariana Trench, or others claim that situations such as the 2003 Great White Incident is an example of Megalodons still being alive. And basically what the 2003 Great White Incident was, back in 2003 there was a very large great white shark that was off the coast of Australia, and it had just been tagged. The tag was suddenly recorded dropping super deep into the ocean, and also at the same time being in the stomach of another creature. Then this creature was down very deep for a period of multiple days, and then washed back up on the shore where they found it and got the information from it. And to summarize, whatever it was must have eaten a great white shark. Some people think the only thing it could have been was like a megalodon. I feel like the kraken would be the best example of what it could have been. And others say maybe it was a mosasaur. Guys, I'm not saying the megalodon doesn't exist, but I am saying it is extremely unlikely that it exists. It probably doesn't exist, guys. I'm sorry. It's probably been gone. I feel like this is the best evidence of someone alluding to the Megalodon still existing, but other than this, there's not a lot of great evidence of Megalodons existing anywhere. Moving on to the Ningen. So what the Ningen is there was this post on the Japanese version of like Reddit where these people were talking about how they were whale researchers and they kept finding these things that weren't quite whales and they weren't quite humans, but rather they were kind of like a cross between the two. They described them as being these humanoid whale hybrid things that have like human hands, human looking features, and they discovered them off the coast of Antarctica. And they go on about how they really wish they could publish their findings, but if they did, it would completely discredit their entire team, which, you know, if you found a mythical creature and you started trying to publicize it, you probably would get discredited. But whenever they're depicted, they look very creepy, very scary. Sometimes people depict them as having two legs and walking around on the ice of Antarctica, which I don't really know why they do that. But a lot of people believe this. They thought it was real. And I mean, it was just a guy saying that it happened online. So other than that, there's no evidence of its existence. I wish this existed. This would be epic. I mean, whales are already really cool. Imagine a whale that looks kind of like a human. You know what? I don't know if I do wish this existed. That thing is like, that's really freaky. Birds aren't real. So Birds Aren't Real was a movement that claims that all birds in the United States were exterminated by the federal government between 1959 and 1971. This movement has gotten so big, I'm pretty sure it just started off as a joke, and there's even a billboard that was erected in Memphis, Tennessee that says birds aren't real. And I think there's people that really genuinely believe that birds are not real. Basically, this movement claims that these birds were exterminated and then replaced with like government drones to survey the public. People also claim that JFK was taken out by the government due to not wanting to exterminate and replace the birds. The back rooms. So I'm sure you guys have all heard of the back rooms. This was a crazy internet phenomenon about this one picture. This one picture came out where this guy posted kind of like a no sleep story about this liminal looking space. The caption was, "If you're not careful, you'll no-clip out of reality in wrong areas. You'll end up in the back rooms, where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the badness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in." So basically this guy had created a story off this one picture, a short story, and this absolutely blew up. People were saying that they felt like they had been at this place before. They felt like they kind of resonated with the image for whatever reason. And yeah, this picture of a liminal space turned into like a huge ongoing kind of creepypasta story where it wasn't like just one person who built out the story, but like a whole bunch of people online created stories about the back rooms and what goes on in the back rooms. So yeah, it's basically supposed to be like in a video game, if you go into the wrong areas, you will accidentally like clip through the ground or through the walls. That's where this is supposed to be in reality. I will say, of stories people have made on the back rooms, Kane Pixel on YouTube has created the greatest story of any of the backroom stories, at least in my opinion. He has created just a phenomenal story. It looks wonderful. The storyline's awesome. The music is great. But he's built his whole own world about the backrooms, but he's created his own backrooms entity, and I think it is a very cool design. So anyways, the original picture of the backrooms was posted all the way back in 2019. And what's crazy is, up until 2024, we had no idea where this picture had actually originated from. But then in May 2024, people realized that this picture was taken during renovations of a former furniture store. So this furniture store was renovating and they took all the furniture out. And so this room is just supposed to be a whole bunch of like different weird inner walls and partitions that don't really make sense. And that's why it looks so weird, is because it wasn't supposed to be any type of really functioning room. Today, the building still does stand that the backrooms picture was taken in. It's a building that's now called Hobbytown, which is like an RC car racing track, and the original layout of the building is gone. But it's very sad that it's gone, but cool that the building is still standing. Someone needs to make like a whole like museum thing of the back rooms. I feel like, well, that might go out of style pretty quick, but it would still be really cool. As far as rumors go about the back rooms, some people did think it was real because of different creations. Like Kane Pixel's series on the back rooms was filmed in like a found footage type of way, and so people thought it was genuine found footage from the back rooms that was recovered. And so this furthered the rumor of the back rooms actually existing as a real place itself. Do I wish this one exists? I mean, no, not really. That'd be kind of awful if you could go to a place where you're trapped until you pass away, and then it could just happen anywhere. I mean, the idea you could be walking in the woods and then accidentally fall into eternal yellow rooms, and there's a strange entity chasing you around, but there's like, what, 100 levels of the back rooms, so you could keep going into the next level, and maybe it's more dangerous, maybe it's less dangerous. It's a creative way to tell a story, though. I like the way there's different levels, and I mean, kind of how it created the community. That's pretty cool. All right, next we got Missing 411. Missing 411 is basically supposed to be the idea that there is a connection between all the people that go missing on federal land and in national parks with cave systems and these wilderness locations. So basically, if you don't know, a lot of people go missing in much larger numbers in these national park federal land areas, especially in areas that have caves, than other places in the United States. This theory has kind of evolved more recently into the idea that these disappearances may be happening because of things like feral people, which just means people that aren't quite civilized and they don't speak English, and, well, they don't speak any language, and they live in the middle of nowhere, and maybe they don't even wear clothes, and they're very animalistic. Or things like cryptid type creatures are living in cave systems or on federal land, and that the government maybe is covering it up and maybe even continues to feed people to these cryptid / feral people creatures in these areas. That's the conspiracy part of it. But if you do look at the map, the missing 411 cases do directly line up with cave systems where a lot of the disappearances happen, which is very strange. I guess it does make sense that more people would go missing in cave systems, but I feel like it's too many. Do that many people really just go missing in cave systems? I feel like it can't be that many, you know? So people think that maybe there's something living in these caves and they come out and then get people, and that maybe even the government knows about it and they're prolonging it, and they have to keep these creatures at bay. And what's a better way to do that than to keep them fed? Anyways, I don't believe this theory. This is just an online rumor theory. I sure hope it's not real. Oh my gosh, that'd be terrible. Dead internet theory. So this is a theory that a lot, if not the majority, of the activity you see online is driven by AI bots, or like the interactions are mostly artificial. People think that this is a true theory because of things like the way older people react to AI images on Facebook. Like this picture of a kid in a gorilla that is obviously AI, and the kid's claiming that he made it out of like plastic bottles. And then if you look at the comments, it's just like, wow, amazing creator, awesome gift, fantastic job, great skills, great, amen. And there's a lot of different versions of this exact picture. For some reason, I don't really know why, a lot of them have to do with Shrimp Jesus. I don't really know why, but it's a reoccurring theme on Facebook, and people fall for it. I guess they fall for it. Either they fall for it or it's AI bots. I'm kind of leaning more to the AI bot side of things. How can people think this is real? It's crazy. A kid next to a front-end loader made out of, are those leeks? Are those green onions? How can anybody think this is real? How can anybody believe this is real? There's no way. There's no way people think this is real. So you know what? I will say I shouldn't have even put this one on the list. This is not a rumor. This dead internet is real. Moving on, the 2016 clown sightings. So this is less of a rumor and more of sightings that turned into mass hysteria. So the 2016 clown sightings was a situation back in 2016 where a ton of people were seeing these so-called killer clowns. It was said that at the height of the 2016 clown epidemic, there was at least one sighting or attack in every single state in the United States. Whether that was true, I remember back when this was happening, people were so crazy about it. They were like forming groups and going to attack the clowns and talk about like straight up wiping them. And it was like, why would you, like, you really gonna end someone's life over this, dressing up as a clown? That's crazy. But believe it or not, this whole killer clown epidemic was started through like a series of just kind of innocent situations. At first, this dude in the UK was shooting a short film where he was dressing up as this clown, and this started a Facebook page where they were trying to track the Northampton clown back in 2013. Later on, this situation inspired a short film to be created in the United States with these kind of sinister looking clowns. And people started to report seeing this clown that was being seen during the filming of the short film. And so the news picked up on this and started to report it, and as the news likes to do, they blew it way out of proportion. And because of this, people started to report sightings like crazy, and it just absolutely blew up. Even the director of the movie It, he had to come out and report that he was not causing these in order to market for their new movie It, which, you know, had a killer clown in it. Anyways, later on in 2016, when these sightings were happening, there was kids saying that clowns were trying to lure them into the woods. This one kid said that a clown came up with a knife and scratched him, but the kid just had a scratch on his arm. He said he was climbing a tree and a clown came up and got him. It's like, dude, that does not look like that's from a knife. But anyways, when this was all going on, as I said, there was a lot of people going out trying to get the clowns. I remember there was even like Penn State had a riot with 500 people that went out to get the clowns. Maybe it wasn't a riot, but it was like a big group. But apparently Penn State riots all the time. You know, what do? You go to Penn State, you got to riot. It's a prerequisite to Algebra 2. There were also a lot of killer clown prank videos where people would dress up as scary clowns and then like prank people. I mean, a lot of them were just like people dressing up as clowns and then threatening people. And they're just like, I can't believe the guy tried to defend himself. Like, dude, you're running after him with a knife or an axe. What do you think's gonna happen? Crazy. People are crazy. Anyways, guys, don't kill clowns. Don't dress up as clowns and try to kill people. It's 2025. One more year until, are they gonna come back in 2026? It's like a 10-year cycle, like the Dog Man. You guys know what I'm talking about? Michigan Dog Man? All right, whatever. All right, moving on. Life on Europa. So the whole Life on Europa thing, this is one of my all-time favorite schizo memes. Basically, there was this big rumor about how NASA had gone to the moon Europa, which is Jupiter's moon, and they had found life beneath the ice in this massive ocean. So Europa is different from other moons and celestial bodies in the solar system, as they say it is the most likely place for there to be life outside of Earth in our solar system. They estimate that the ocean on Europa is 100 miles deep, underneath 15 miles of ice. That ocean is likely 3 times larger than Earth's ocean, which is completely insane, especially for the size of Europa. If you look at this graphic, this is a picture of Earth and all the water of Earth in a little bitty ball. And then if you look at the other thing next to it, that is Europa and all the water on it. As you can see, there's more water on Europa than Earth, from what we are estimating. So that would mean, imagine an ocean that is 100 miles deep. Oh my gosh. Even people like Neil deGrasse Tyson say that anywhere on Earth that we find liquid water, we find life. Although, I will say, they have not for sure confirmed found liquid water on Europa. We've only found ice so far, which I'll get to here in a second. But anyways, there's these memes circulating that words were recently blacklisted on Google, such as the Europa leaked documents, Europan hookmouth, leak Europa, leaked NASA documents, and the picture was of this like hook mouth looking fish thing. And there's this other SpongeBob meme that said, oh, that's life on Europa. There are leaked documents with evidence of life in the subsurface ocean on Europa. What's weird is they actually were kind of censoring these words on Google. I don't know why. I guess maybe because they consider it like disinformation or whatever. Let people have that. Let us have these. We need a little bit of schizo memes in our lives. I mean, this is how you get through the day. If I want to believe in the dadgum Europan hookmouth, I'm going to believe it. And if you censor it, I'm going to believe it even more. Anyways, according to these memes, they had allegedly found these large alien fish things called Europan hookmouths in the ocean beneath the ice on the moon Europa. What sucks about this whole thing is the main pictures that everybody posted of the Europan hookmouth was actually a picture that was part of a video game cover for this game called Barotrauma, which is like a survival horror game where you're actually on a submarine beneath the ice on Jupiter's moon Europa, so lore accurate. What's even sadder about this whole thing is that no spacecraft has ever landed on Europa, so there's almost no way that it's real. Even if we did land a spacecraft on the surface of Europa, we got 15 miles of ice to drill through. Maybe the person who made these memes had it revealed to them in a dream that these creatures were down there. I have a lot of stuff revealed to me in a dream. I had a dream I went to space as a family trip the other day. It was really cool, actually. I think we went to Mars, and it was something we had just done. It was like, oh, we've done this before, we'll do it again. We're gonna go to Mars for the weekend. Reality is always sadder than dream. Anyways, NASA actually does have a planned mission to go to Europa. It's called the Europa Clipper mission, and it's actually already launched. It launched back in October 2024, and it was said that they designed this mission in order to investigate Europa's ocean. But from what I can tell, they're just gonna fly by the moon Europa while they're in orbit around Jupiter. So I don't know how they're gonna confirm life under there. I think maybe they're going to use sensors or whatever just to tell that there is an ocean beneath the ice. And if there is liquid water, bacteria, right? Am I right? Is that what it is? Is it bacteria that they consider? So anyways, I really like this one, Europan hookmouth. It's been blacklisted. Guys, please hashtag bring back Europan hookmouth. NASA, let me have Europa hookmouth. Yeah, put that in the comments. Anyways, I just gotta say, thank you guys so much for watching my videos. You are just like me for real. You are deranged. You are interested in good, interesting things. You like the Europan hookmouth. You're LeComfit. But guys, I really have been enjoying doing these longer videos on YouTube. So I do appreciate each and every one of you guys watching it. If you actually like these videos, I'm going to continue doing them. So just let me know if you do. But I plan to do many more to come. I'm starting to get into a groove doing these videos. And I appreciate 500,000 subs. I don't deserve it. Without your guys' support, I would never be able to making videos my main goal right now. So I appreciate you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.